There is still one horrific blood sport that, although illegal, is on the rise in the UK. Dogfighting.
It has gone so far underground that it's difficult to be able to find and successfully prosecute people. What we do know is that it is everywhere, in towns and cities across the UK.
Man's best friend is being fought to the death, and we're going inside this secretive world to explore this gruesome so-called sport. We'll meet the men trying to put a stop to it, and also interview an illegal dog fighter responsible for fighting and killing hundreds of dogs. Chief Inspector Ian Briggs is the RSPCA's leading dogfighting expert. This lockup is where he stores seized dogfighting paraphernalia.
General common factor amongst people involved in dogfighting is they all enjoy violence. It's just purely about gratuitous violence. They choose for their dog to become injured, and ultimately they choose for their dog to highly likely be killed in the pit. And they may try and dress it up in other ways that the dogs enjoy it and things like that. It's rubbish. It's all about them, and it's about their own self-esteem.
Tony has bred hundreds of dogs and has admitted to killing many of them in his bid to become one of Europe's top dogmen. He agreed to give us an interview, but didn't want to reveal his identity for fear of retribution. He is voiced by an actor.
I'd say I'll be a class of professional dog fighter. For me, that's all I was interested in, being the best. Perhaps in 50 years' time, picking up a book and seeing my name there. As a kid, it always intrigued me. I eventually bought it with the intention of fighting it. And I had instant success with it. And I've been in the dog game ever since. Never been interested in the money side of it. I'm sure there are more ways of making easy money than keeping dogs. Some people fight for 50, £100. It's not about the money, it's about having the better dog.
The treadmill on its own is not an offence to possess, because it does have uses for rehabilitation of injured dogs. But it is one of the main pieces of equipment used by dog fighters as part of the keep, which is the training regime for preparing a dog for a fight. Human treadmills, they place the dog onto the treadmill, and you've got this centre chain with a carabiner on it. They'll start the power and the dog has to run. That's a pretty hefty weighted collar, which the dog would wear while it's on the treadmill. Now, a normal dog owner would have no need for this at all. This is the flirt pole, so they bounce it from side to side to get the dog to chase the lure. And what that does is increases the strength of the leg muscles.
First 5 weeks, you build the training up. You increase the training each week. You monitor it, you measure the food, you measure how much water you're giving it each day. So basically, I know exactly what weight my dog is going to be on the day. You take the water off gradually, dry it out. The dog's dried out, so it's dehydrated and doesn't bleed. And it brings the dog into top form. They do it because they like doing it, not because they have to do it. Not because they're forced to do it, they do it because they want to do it. A decent pit bull is going to put his life on the line if he has to.
The pit bull terrier is extremely loyal. It will drag itself across the pit with a broken leg to keep fighting, because it wants to do that to keep its owner happy, and that's all it knows. If the dog has done well for them in the pit and they're happy with the way that dog has fought, they will do everything they can to keep it alive. You can have some dog fighters with hugely extensive veterinary kits that will go from things like skin staplers to UV giving sets. So they will put their dog on a saline drip in order to try and stop it going into shock and dying.
9 times out of 10, if it's lost through quitting, they don't come home. They get buried, you know, they get killed basically, put to sleep. I've already accepted the fact that once I've released that dog into the pit, there's a chance he's not coming home with me. For whatever reason, he might not come home with me. He could even win and die afterwards. If you're not prepared to lose your dog in the first place, you shouldn't be there in the first place, should you? I've bred lots of dogs and lots of pups. They've been there from day one. I've reared them, and they got to the stage in life where I thought, they're never going to make the grade. They've got to go. They've got to make room for something that can make the grade. There are fights that haven't even lasted 6 minutes, and there are fights that have lasted 6 hours.
They're conditioned to stay in that pit and keep fighting. That gameness that the dog displays is exactly what the dog fighter wants. He wants it to keep fighting despite the injuries, despite the pain it's in. He wants that dog to keep going. Why people get a thrill out of it, you just don't know, but you do know it's wrong. And you do know that the people who do get gratification out of it have got something missing. If they're so willing to allow their animal to be subjected to as much violence as that, you have to question their attitude to violence as a whole.
Dogs will go the distance. I've seen like 5-6 hours. You've got to take your hat off to them going for that length of time. You've also got to take your hat off to the people that train them dogs. That's part of the buzz. How well you condition your dog. To watch it, I don't think it's that exciting if you're a bystander. But when it's your dog and you've had it from day one, and let's say you've looked after it, trained it, you spent all that time with that dog, you know you want to do its best, and you believe in that dog.
The vast majority of the public aren't even aware that dogfighting still takes place. They see it as something that's consigned to the history books. So if we can trigger that impulse in somebody to see something and think that's not right, and they make that call, it could be that call that then helps us break up a dogfighting ring.
I've done it in clubs. While everyone on a Saturday afternoon has been drinking downstairs, Joe Public, I've been scrapping the dogs upstairs. You know, I've had countless people ask me to take them to see one, and I never have. You know, they've wanted to go just to see one, to experience it before they make a judgment. If the law wasn't the way it was, I'd gladly take them. Because I'd say a few of them would probably end up doing it. If I want to stay in dogs, it would have to be moved abroad.
There is no right-minded country in the world that would see dogfighting as acceptable. And it can't be. And that's why it's illegal, and that's why it's got to remain illegal.